Ready? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. It is 6:02, and at this time we call the October 17th, 2023 City Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Levy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Green. Yeah. Councilmember Thomas. Here. Councilmember Green. Present. Councilmember Luna Leon.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Present.
And Councilmember Bradson.
Here.
Okay. At this time, we have the optional pledge of allegiance or moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Can I have approval of the agenda?
Seconds.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. All were in favor. Housekeeping matters, anything anybody would like to bring up before we get rolling?
I have once again gone to county commissioners to ask for our joint work session. Kind of clarified key people of who it has to work for the most. But obviously, as many people as we can get there, the better. So everyone has a good understanding of what to think of when we come to budget making decisions for next year.
Okay. And any date been set or?
Waiting on them to.
Thank you very much. I wanted to mention, this happens every year or two. Our next city council meeting would be scheduled for election night. And so we always bump it to the next day. Just want to make sure there's no objection to that. It will be Wednesday, the 8th instead of Tuesday, the 7th.
I'm good.
Yep.
And the only thing we noticed is that you'll note on the city calendar that the planning and zoning commission is going to be meeting at the same time, but we talked to the planning director and they can do the meeting virtually so that we can have this room. So don't worry that we're overlapping with them. If anyone needs to appear in person, we can also use the conference room upstairs for planning and zoning.
Yeah, I think Jake has discussed that with P and Z at this time.
I'll discuss it next week at their next meeting, so.
Gotcha. Okay, thank
There
you.
won't be a problem, most attendees are usually virtual anyway, so.
Okay. Except for Joey and I. All right, thank you very much. Any other housekeeping matters? Okay, at this time, public comments about items not on the agenda. If anyone would like to speak to city council, please raise your hand, let us know. Come up and introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes. Anybody on Zoom that would like to speak to city council on items not on the agenda? Okay, thank you very much. We'll dive right into department reports. City administrators report.
Okay, let's see, a couple of just quick things. We sent out the schedule of budget work sessions, so thank you all for your time and be good to see you every Tuesday until the end of the year. Just wanted to note that our public hearing on the budget will be December 5th. So that is our regularly scheduled meeting, but that's when we open the public and close public hearing on the budget as required by statute. Just wanted to highlight this morning, Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Green and I attended a brownfields workshop. And contrary to its name, it's really not just about fields and it's not just brownfields. It is a program, a partnership with the Colorado Department of Public Health, CDPHE, the EPA and several other entities to help communities essentially find funding for cleaning up potentially contaminated properties in the sense of environmental cleanup, but also in the sense of economic development. So it was fantastic. I think the main takeaway for me was I had their contact information. And, you know, it's certainly something we can look at in our community and even some of the properties that the city owns. And it is good to know that essentially these folks will help you really I wanna say handhold, but help you from the, I don't know where to start. I have a project, a property, a building, I don't know where to start, to assisting with the grant writing and essentially assisting with a lot of the heavy lifting that would go towards an EPA grant. They tell us the CDPHE money is a little bit more simple. CDPHE grant applications are like 6 pages as opposed to 40 hours of work on an EPA grant application. So, but anyway, it was fascinating. I am grateful that they, Southern Colorado Economic Development, brought that here, SCED. They could have picked any location to have it, and they chose to have it here in Lake County. So I'm appreciative that folks traveled as far away as Canyon City to come to this. So it was a fantastic event. A couple other things, if you all remember, October 12th, a year ago, was the date that President Biden declared the Camp Hale Continental Divide National Monument. And so just a couple of things I wanted to flag if the public is interested in attending. The public is invited to attend a Camp Hale Continental Divide National Monument informational meeting on October 21st, that's this Saturday, from 2:30 to 4 p.m. at the Vail Town Council Chambers. And the Forest Service will provide an overview of the upcoming planning process that will determine future management of the monument. Senator Bennett and Representative Joni Goose will also be there, and the public will have an opportunity to express their thoughts on the future of Camp Hale. I encourage anybody who has an opinion about the use of that land to attend the meeting, or you can pass along your comments to me. I believe that Mayor and I will both attend that. So if there's any particular thing that you have concerns about a historic use that you're wondering if it would be continued, please let me know. A couple other things of good news is 809 Spruce. We have another tenant, which is great news, and we have some other folks who are interested in being tenants. Amy Tate is, we need to get the contract signed with her, but she still promises at every event I see her at in town, and she's on board to do our property management. We just haven't signed on the dotted line with her. And if it is a contract that needs to come before you all, you will see it on a potential future agenda. But she contacted me today about a county person who may be interested in the building as well. Very exciting news. Sitting next to me is our new finance director, Crystal Hewlett. She joins us from the county. We are very excited to have her here. She has a long career in accounting and was recently with the county. Fantastic experience with local government. She started just over a week ago, so we have completely inundated her. And so she's picking up things great. Donna's coming in on her evenings and weekends to work with Crystal, and Crystal has hit the ground running. So we're really appreciative. We promised to not put her too much on the spot when we get to the financial reporting, and I realized I did not print out for you the sales tax information, but I will email that to you. I will cover that, but going forward, Crystal will be doing the financials, the bills, and even probably preparing like a memo report like the other departments do for you. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if there's anything you would like to say, you are welcome to tell us a little more about yourself.
Sure. I'm glad to be here, council, mayor, thank you. So I am a longstanding Leadville citizen. I think between my youth and adulthood, roughly 45 years. So I've been around here for a little while. Many of your faces are familiar from other events around town. As Lori mentioned, I was with the county and Mr. Bergman sitting over there for 5 years, so I enjoyed my role there. My background prior to hiring on with the county was commercial accountant for Copper Mountain, but it was Interwest owned properties, so I did the commercial accounting for all the commercial spaces at 7 different resorts, including Sandestin in Florida and Whistler and Blue in Canada. From there, I went to Wilderness Property Management. I was there for 10 years as a HOA accountant and jail accountant for the company. Married, a couple kids that are Lake County graduates. Anything else you would like to know, let me know. I look forward to working with you and getting to know you all a little better.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd be happier to, we haven't totally inundated her with budget. She's been sitting in on a number of the budget meetings, and we also, I think I mentioned in my last meeting, I had a consultant who does municipal finance and accounting work. She either can, you know, do the actual work if you're a small enough of a town, or she'll do consulting. She came out on Lorraine Trotter, and she came out on September 13th, I believe, and met with Donna and kind of got a whole overview of our finance and accounting and how we do things. And then prepared a report, which Crystal and I met with her to talk about the report and some of her suggestions. The great news is, we all know Donna does a fantastic job. All of our ducks are in a row, but Lorraine did have some ideas for Crystal and some training ideas and some ideas for future down the road improvements. So, and Crystal's son is an accomplished bike racer on top of that. And so, great. So welcome, Crystal. Our efforts on police chief recruiting, I wanted to let you know, I am really hoping we did everything we needed to do to get an ad in the paper this week. Probably just jinxed it. But Aaron and I have been working feverishly to get that done. We also had a great meeting with O'Rourke Media, who is now the parent company of the Herald. And they are going to put together a digital campaign for us for recruiting on the police chief position and police officer position. So we can combine those and kind of get a package deal. But they do, first of all, targeting in all of their, so we would hit their other publications and digitally, and then we would also be targeted social media, keyword search. They put together a Google keyword search, so if anybody searches for, you know, police officer, it's crazy what the internet knows about you. We can pick a radius and we can target. So the first hit they hit is the city of Leadville is seeking police officers. So if you don't know the internet is watching you, they are watching you. We can also, it was crazy. They said we can target postgraduates for you. And I said, how would you do that? And they said, well, we can basically look at LinkedIn profiles, or, you know, a post that says, you know, I'm a recent graduate. So we are pretty excited about that. We're hitting that, getting them the information to run that digital campaign. We haven't done that before with O'Rourke Media. So we're going to test it out with those positions, because we thought a broad approach for those is the best approach. We've got a couple of applicants for the administrative assistant position. So we're getting there. And
has anybody expressed interest in the police officer positions yet? Because they were advertised a couple weeks ago, right?
no. Yeah, that's why I think we need to have a broader approach. And on the police chief one, there are two things it's thought would be very helpful, is to mention that we have housing available. And we may need to talk about relocation costs. You know, adding that to, so we put in the posting, the relocation cost might be considered. Because I suspect, you know, we are gonna potentially be looking beyond our community at this point, because we've run the ad in the paper and haven't gotten any interest. Or at least some interest, but not anybody who's post-qualified. Let's see, think that, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
How many officers are we hiring form today. What are they working on?
Well, so 3. Right, and so then the budget would be looking at transitioning from the 12-hour shifts to 10-hour shifts, and that, so that would be the request for additional staff. Is that correct? Right now, we have 3. Correct, okay. Mhm. Yeah, and I think if this campaign is a success, I would not be adverse to, if we had applicants right now, even though it's not 2024, pursuing more than 3 applicants right now, I think would be a good idea.
One question specifically around hiring. I imagine this is probably gonna come a little bit later into the process, but I kind of want to get a general idea of where you're at in terms of the board for hiring the police chief.
Yep, so that has been, my plate's been pretty full, but I have the suggestions that you made and also Councilmember Grant made. And then I have some ideas about key people I think should be on that committee. And so the first priority was to get it out on the street, and then we'll convene our committee as soon as we start getting applications, but yes.
Any other questions for the city administrator? Okay, thank you very much. At this time, human resources.
The excitement we have going on is the employee self-evaluations are out to all the employees. And should be completed by November 3rd. The performance evaluations from the department heads will be out soon, or they're out and due on the 27th of November. And we have a staff meeting scheduled for December 5th to talk about the new state program family. We reserved a conference room at the CMC to this, hopefully 80 to 90% is there. And I was gonna talk about the police position team.
Yeah.
But that's all I have. Any questions?
When's the staff meeting and where is it gonna be?
December 5th, at CMC.
And I think you did send out the save the date to the employees, so Mayor, you will make sure it gets on your calendar as well.
Thank you.
But, I think it's great, Aaron's been doing a fantastic job on this to just get us all together. It hasn't been quarterly, I think we've done them, twice a year, but this one's an important one, so we picked early in December so that we can make sure we get the word out to all the employees about the importance of the family program. We've talked about it multiple times, we've sent out multiple reminders to the employees, but frankly, it's confusing that we're in, but we're out, but we're in. We really want to do some serious hand holding so that employees actually take advantage of the program and sign up. And I think the verbally walking folks through and just telling them, I see absolutely no downside to signing up for the program. And if you just want the little brief, family is the state paid family medical leave program that begins in 2024, where if you have a serious medical condition, serious health condition, or your family member has a serious health condition, you could get not your 100% of your salary, but is it up to 80? Up to 90% of your salary during that 12-week period. So you all voted to allow our employees, when I get into the opt-in, opt-out, because that's confusing, allow our city to be a part of the program. And then you all agreed to pick up not just the city's portion of the premium, but the employee's portion of the premium, so it is at no cost to the employees, but they actually have to go in and we can't sign them up for it. So we're gonna have this meeting so that we can push the word out so everybody knows. And I know I owe you, I just realized that document,
another written reminder to everybody about the program.
I would suggest, as you discuss this with employees or push it out to employees, that you not mention the opt-in, opt-out.
No, we're not
It's
gonna-
just
yeah, we-
confusing. It's, here it is, we pay 100%, all you have to do is sign the paper.
Who wouldn't want to sign up for that?
Yeah, I don't, unless you just don't like paperwork, you know, teach their own. We did, this state had a flyer or announcement you could send out to your employees, and I'm like, oh my God, I simplified, it's too confusing, even, so, you know, again, this is brand new to the state, they're learning as they go as well, and so, yeah, I've been trying to simplify it, because the whole opt-in, opt-out thing is baffling.
And at this point.
We're in.
Yeah.
Just go here and sign up. Yep,
Sign right here.
great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next up, police department.
Here, city council members, the administrator. You've got my report in front of you, party packet, from the highlights we put first. Our staff participated in the following functions last month in September. The high school homecoming parade that supported that, the Lake County Community Dinner on September 9th, the St. Patrick's Practice Day parade on the 16th. Each officer attended 8 hours of de-escalation training that was provided by the Community College Council of Colorado for free. On the 18th or the 22nd, officers pick one of those 2 days to go to. And then I, of course, did the rules presentation to City Council on the 26th. Those are our highlights for September. Today, I'd also like to talk about a very serious incident that happened this morning on Highway 24 north of town. We had a 2-vehicle fatal accident. A paramedic from Eagle Valley EMS Hospital was killed in the crash. All of your Lake County first responders were there. Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, the Fire Department, your EMS, State Patrol, and the Corps. And I have to tell you, as somber as it was, and some of the members of the first responders that I just mentioned were there on scene when this individual died. It wasn't pronounced till after we arrived, the first cars arrived. But I will tell you, having seen a lot of these scenes personally myself, having responded to that, I was very impressed with how your Lake County first responders handled the situation. It was a difficult task. Both cars were in the river. One was upside down. Unfortunately, the female victim had to be extricated after death and cut away from the vehicle. She was completely impacted or contained by the vehicle because of the crash. But your first responders did an extremely good job today. And you should be very proud of it, because it was a difficult to get home. And at 4 o'clock this afternoon, we held an informal AAR to talk about it. Summit County brought in a fire crew to watch the county while we were doing that, in case somebody came out. But some of your hard men and women are a little suffering because of what they saw and what they encountered today. But I hope you're understanding that you should be very proud of the first responders you have in this community that are serving you and the citizens here. Because they did a really good, unified job today. So that was important to tell you that. Lastly, this Friday will be my last day as chief of police here in Leadville. I have accepted a job in my home county as a police chief up there. I'll throw off as an interim and hopefully it'll be a quick transition to a permanent basis. I will tell you, it's been an extreme pleasure and an honor to work for this community for the last 10 months. And I hope you have the very best moving on forward. I know we just talked about that you're down now to, you have 3 officer vacancies. When I started here, there was 1 officer vacancy, and then it went to 2 in March, and now you're at 3 this week. We had a resignation turned in on Monday. So, that is kind of the status of your department right now. You are not being covered 24/7, 365. There are holes in schedule where there is no Leadville police officer working the streets. And luckily, the Leadville Police Department and the Leadville or Lake County Sheriff's Office have an extremely good working relationship at this time. And yes, I've heard all about the history about these two agencies over the last few decades. But today, these two agencies work shoulder to shoulder and cover each other very, very well. So you should be proud of that fact. And I will tell you, you're very lucky to have Sheriff Speckman as the sheriff of this county. I'm extremely impressed with his tenure, his dedication to duty, his professionalism, and his empathy when cases come up. He too is at the scene today, as well as the EMS director. Unfortunately, Chief Daly's at a conference right now and couldn't be there, but I know he would be there too.
Who was the command officer for the fire department?
Slevsky, I think.
Oh, Zach, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Just curious, because I knew all three chiefs went that conference.
He was there and did an outstanding job on this.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions from the chief?
Thank you. I guess I've got one. Yes, thank you and congratulations on your new job. But sitting in my seat, I'm getting a little bit worried about our police department. We're up to three officer vacancies now, one police chief vacancy. And based on the budget request you made just a couple of weeks ago, I thought we were in kind of a growth mode, and it seems like we're taking quite a few steps backwards. And I just wondered from your perspective, what looks like a good path forward for this city council with the police department? Seems like it's really hard to make hires right now.
You want my frank opinion, ma'am?
Well, yes, I do.
Well, in my professional opinion, you have two options. Your first option is to continue trying to grow this department. Bringing in a chief that will serve well here, and trying to grow the department. Across the entire state and across our entire nation, right now, recruitment for law enforcement is extremely difficult. I don't know one single department in this state is at full staff. And it's been going on this way for the last 3 years. It's an unfortunate byproduct of some situations that happened in 2020 that have affected the entire profession. But that is the situation right now. You can continue to try that, and it may or may not be successful. So far, it has not been. And then you have option two. I will tell you that option two was first floated to me or given as a suggestion or some topic that was given before I even got here. And initially when I got here, I said, no, I would not support that because I think it should be stayed the way it is. And that option is folding your police department into the sheriff's department. And in essence, taking a half cup and a half cup and making it a whole cup. That is an option as well. As I mentioned, I'm very well aware of the previous histories of police chiefs and sheriffs in this community. But you've made a turn in that corner. You have an outstanding sheriff working in this county. And I will make a strong prediction that based upon his current and future performance, he will be easily reelected in his next term. He has roots in this city. He has young daughters that will be going to school for many years. I can't see him leaving this city. Is it a possibility? Absolutely. Is it a probability? I don't think so. I've seen him on a daily basis. We talk to each other virtually every single day. And these two agencies work well together. To fold the police department into the sheriff's department, we'd be very easy. And that's what all you're doing is changing uniform. The officers and the deputies work both areas at all times. Today, Leadville PD responded up on 24 in the county. We are deputized to do so. And on many occasions, like I think tonight, I have to check the schedule. I do not believe there is a Leadville police officer work. So that means the sheriff's department is handling all calls for service in the city. And they have not balked at that. I'm going into an environment next week, where that is not the case in the city I'm going to be working in. And I have to repair that relationship that was created by the previous chief and the current sheriff. And I will do my best to do so. But I'm talking about what is here in Leadville and Lake County. Not anywhere else in this state or this nation. I'm just talking what I think is best for you. Those are your two options. Those are the only two options that I can see as a possibility.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you. I respect the chief's decision when he told me that he was taking another interim chief position. He explained to me that it's a community that was in the same kind of pickle we were in, you know, a little over a year ago. And it's closer to his home, and he has given the city of Leadville 10 months. And I appreciate those 10 months. He got us through events this summer with nothing but compliments and nothing but good feedback from the race series about how well everything ran, how well the relationship worked with the streets department, how the race series had never seen such cooperation amongst the city and the county and the other departments to make the events happen. And, you know, I have been, hoping that you would stay and in some ways dragging my feet because you have brought stability to the department that we desperately needed. Leadership, guidance, showing people how to do their jobs, bringing your years of experience from a larger police force into play here in unexpected circumstances. You know, that police standoff we had several months ago could have ended very, very badly. And I think because of your experience and your relationship with other partners in the community and especially the sheriff's department, and it ended the best possible outcome. And so the chief has never balked, working all night. He's never balked at working any of the events. He's rolled up his sleeves. He's served in uniform. He has been available to the city 24/7 since the day he started. And I am very grateful for your service to the community. And I hope that that your new town is not as difficult as maybe we were in the beginning. But I know everybody appreciated your level-headedness and leadership, and you rolled up your sleeves, you put your office downstairs, you were there every morning when people came in, you were there for advice, you were there to give them guidance, and I really appreciate that.
I appreciate your kind words, ma'am. It is bittersweet. This community's gotten under my skin. And I like it. This morning I was sent children on aspirations, kind of nice.
I think we're missing a beautiful sunset.
Yeah, it looks like it was an honor to serve this community and
You did a really wonderful job. You're a good man and we're gonna miss you.
I appreciate that, but I won't be back. I've got some court cases in the coming months, so I will be coming back.
And Chief Jones he has agreed to give us his advice and serve on the interview panel for, I think, you know, you and interim Chief Dave Brown had insight as to good, you know, and your leadership styles and personalities were very different. So I appreciate that and your input on our next chief. I think it's going to be really important. So thank you.
Sure, appreciate it. It's a pleasure working with all the city staff. Tony, we got there all the events.
We did.
Hard way, but we did it, and I appreciate all your efforts. That was great. Thanks for all your support on the and everything else. Thank you. Good work.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we start with the next one, I would like to say that I think we should have that discussion again. As she pointed out, under the pickle, and a tough situation. And before we move into our 2024 budgetary discussions, it would be important for me to have that discussion once again as to what the future of our department is.
I think we definitely can fit that in the work session and you know my opinions. I fully support our police department. I think there are very important reasons why you would continue a police department, even though you have a sheriff's department, and they have nothing to do with the, I have utmost respect for Sheriff Speckman. We do not know if he will continue or want to continue or be scooped up by another job opportunity, and it is an elected position.
Let's have that conversation and debate, but we need
But I
to
think
schedule the work session.
We should put it on the discussion when we talk about the police department for
Okay.
its work session.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, streets?
No, not yet. Wait, stop. Fire department's next.
Yes, I think I just jumped, but.
You could stay right there. Fire department's not here, so, but I do want to say the grand opening of Station Two was a really, really nice event. Very well attended. It was well done and it's quite a facility, so.
If we are, so I was, Chief Daly let me know that he and his leadership team are at a leadership conference. I'm happy to pass along any questions about his staff report or anything else. I just want to say, I thought the chief did a fantastic job of emceeing that event. It was wonderful. And I also want to thank Lori Kai. She put in a ton of work on all the logistics for that, and it went flawlessly. So just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, there were 4 people who worked hard to make that happen. It was Lori, it was Mabel, it was Betty Benson, and it was Phyllis. And they really pulled it off. It was good. All right, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. I'm jumping ahead, but here we go.
I saw that.
For streets, we were kind of busy this month. We did quite a bit, little things here and there that just need to get ready for the winter time. We did pick up all the flower pots and hanging pots and everything, dispose of the dirt, and we have everything all prepared for the winter. So all the pots and boxes and everything should still be good for the next year. We didn't have too many damage, so everything is mostly still intact. We did quite a bit of patching. We had 6 tons of patching to do, and we did in front of the post office. There was a whole area in front of that whole sidewalk that needed to be redone, so we got that taken care of, and we had several other larger areas throughout town. Residents had called in and had problems with their driveways. We fixed all that, and then we went out and patched out as much as we could with the 6 tons that we had left. Thinking if the weather holds up, we might try and get another 6 tons next week and see if we can get some more done. We've been driving around and checking our routes, getting ready for the winter time for our plowing and our graders and everything. And the guys have been letting me know where they're finding different things that we should probably take care of. So at that, we're also preparing all of our equipment, getting our cutting edges, getting all the oil changes, making sure our things are in good shape. We're gonna be spending up a little bit what we have left of our budgets to get us our chains and equipment and stuff we're gonna need to maintain that for the winter time. We're gonna be close. Hopefully not go too far over, but we should be good. I think we're in good shape right now with that. We do have 3 positions open right now. We have 2 operator positions and 1 maintenance position. I do have 1 prospect right now for the maintenance position. I'm waiting for his application. I already received his resume. He's got the experience that we need. We just need to come to an agreement on what he's gonna be expected to do. Which I'm hoping that we can take care of this week. He's gonna be responsible for all the summer removal for all the city buildings, sidewalks, parking lots and different things. Sidewalks. And as it grows, we'll get him involved more into the maintenance of the buildings and stuff like this, which he has experience in. So I'm really hoping that he is excited and accepts what we can offer him. Been preparing for budget, going over everything we did. Mayor and I have met once about that. We're going to probably sit down and talk a little bit more about a couple of things.
We're not done?
Yeah. Just some clarifications. Nothing too big. That's fair. We did get a little bit more paving done. The season is almost pretty much over. We did get paved in front of Fourth and Pine, right in front of the St. George Church. We got that all taken care of there. It looks really good. And I think is gonna be our last. I wanted to try and get 6th and East 6th, right at the lights fixed in that whole rough area there. But CDOT is very slow in responding. I have to go through their electrician as well as the field supervisor over here. He's approved it, but he wants the electrician to tell me where all wires and everything for the lights, and we don't wanna mess that up, so we're gonna have to hold off on that one probably till next spring after we can start up again. But we'll get that one taken care of. We have a few smaller potholes in different places. Right at Fifth and Harrison, right next to the old Chinese restaurant, we had a, spot that sunk in. And the more that we investigated that, it turns out it is a vault for the telephone company, CenturyLink, telephone lines and everything to go through there. I met with one of the technicians today, and we went and looked at it closer, and the closer we looked at it, you can actually see down into the vault now and stuff. So he has already contacted his construction supervisor and crew, and they're gonna hopefully get started on fixing that this week. The way he's talking, they're gonna probably have to completely take off the vault top and repair the whole thing. But that's something that's not an expense to us, it's their responsibility. So the only thing that I've offered to do for them is road construction signs and stuff like this to help them with their traffic. Which should help out quite a bit there. We'll get that taken care of. We would have ripped it up if it was actually raised up by good 4 to 6 inches, then higher than the regular pavement. And stuff, so we'll get that taken care of. We've got a couple more that we're gonna work on here now that we've got just a little bit of time. Tyler's been doing a great job getting everything ready. Graders are being worked on. He has to do oil samples and everything before he knows exactly how much life is left before he can do oil changes, and he's been taking care of all that. And in fact, today I had him go to Colorado Springs to pick up cutting edges for some from our blades for our snow plows and for our loaders and stuff, so they should be fairly well set on that type of stuff. Let's see, Sideways is pretty much done with all of their cutting of the pavement and installing gas lines and everything like this. The rest of the crew, the recreation crew are here right now for the rest of the week, and they're finishing up the last of their bigger cuts, the main junctions and everything when they did. Lori and I have both been different times working on checking their work, making sure that they got everything completed that they can say, and we're working on closing out their permits. So within the next couple of weeks, we should have all those permits done. I talked to Ted, he's the restoration supervisor today, and he's expecting to be able to finish by Thursday. He's leaving himself Friday, so just in case there are any problems. And I did talk to him about maybe doing a couple of little things for us too, and he's open to that suggestion there, so we might be able to get a couple of patches done for us. And let's see. And I think with that, I think that's pretty much everything that we've been involved in. And there may be more. We did help with the signs and everything for the St. Patrick's Day parade. And we still have one more event coming up, Trick or Treat Street, which is a full closure. So we're gonna have to set up everything again on that. And we did have a lot of signs that ended up missing or damaged throughout the events. So I'm in the process of evaluating and inventorying the already what we need for that stuff, so we can be prepared for next year.
And what about parade of lights?
I don't have a permit for that one. I think that's one of those.
It's the third year of a.
Yeah.
annual permit.
No.
We'll make sure Lori gets it circulated.
Okay,
Yeah, I think one of those, the bowling blockade type of thing, that we usually do.
might be.
I mean, at most, we'll put the sign out for the locals.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, we had spoken the last time, Tony, about what I call the gutter between the sidewalk and the street and how it has washed away in lots of areas. And I'm advocating again for West Seventh. If you've not looked, would you be sure and look at that?
I have.
I'm worried it's dangerous.
Yeah, I have looked at that, and that was one of the ones that we needed to get to, but we ran out of it, go back.
Okay,
We wanted 10 tons. But with the weather that was coming in, we decided to cut down a little bit, because we didn't wanna be stuck with half a truckload of cold pack and not be able to use it. So with the weather, hopefully in the next week or so, that'll be one of the first places where we'll definitely go down and take a look at it. If they're what we can. But 7th Street over the next couple of years is probably gonna be one of those roads that we're gonna have to really seriously look at for paving, and I'm not sure what we can do about the curves that we have to evaluate as well.
Thank you for checking that out and letting me know it's on the list.
Yeah.
Rebecca?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for the paving at Fourth and Pine. It looks really good, and I know St. George's is beyond delighted with the work. I think it was an important patch job to do. I was talking to St. George, and they get between the food pantry and the community meals and the church services and the meetings, they get 500 people through that building on average in a week, so I think that was really good.
Well, that was one of those that they've tried different things over the years, and not everything has always worked. And this was a more permanent thing, and getting close to the end of the season like this, we have some money in the budget left to do that, so we just decided to do it.
And then I kind of wanted to piggyback on to the comment that was just made about drainage along West Seventh. Because I know when I was with you in front of the church, it was the first time that I really had an understanding of how difficult drainage is on the whole southwestern part of town. And I know last time you were here to brief council, you said you were trying to get some culverts.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if that panned out or not.
It's still in process, and they were waiting for the more permanent culverts to come in so they could take out the temporary ones. And that's what we're waiting for, is for them to be able to do that. Once we find out that, then we can work out an agreement with them for the culverts that they do have and make sure that we get the best that we can out of it. Then we'll be able to go forward with that. And that'll be a step for next year, where we have several places that need actual culverts of that size. That we have slated to do that. But in the meantime, we gotta get the culverts first. They're real expensive. The metal ones cost about $1,200 for a 30-inch, 20-foot pipe. And we're hoping to get these ones, which are the ABS, I believe is what it is. They're more of a plastic. They're not biodegradable. They're pretty rigid type of plastic, and they've been used all over in different places. And we're hoping to be able to get those at a decent price and buy as much of what they have. And they're not that we have stockpile for when we do need it.
That sounds good to me, and I'm a strong proponent of that. I love the paving program that you have in place, trying to get to streets as they're needed, but I think we need to include the drainage as part of this as well.
Well, some of those streets we won't be able to pave until we do the drainage first.
Right, it just
So
doesn't
we
make
need
sense,
to-
right?
It's a whole list of things that we need to do certain things. South Street is kind of a different thing, because there's really no bigger drainage through there. Everything runs on the side of the pavement and the curb, and that's what the drainage keeps in. Down at the bottom section there was a couple drainage that we had cleared out and we opened up, and it runs a lot better now down there.
One of the things this is the first year that we put in a priority plan for paving. And so if you remember, one of the goals from the streets department was that every time we repave, we would look at if there were any possibilities for drainage improvement while we were doing that.
So
So,
good, I wasn't aware of that, so that's good.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for street department?
Tony, do you normally work on Tuesdays?
Yes,
And you come in at what time to work?
6 o'clock.
Okay. I think it's fair to say, maybe we should move Tony up a little bit on the agenda. Cause I would hate to keep you around.
Well, this one isn't too bad where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Last time when I was almost last,
Yeah,
that day we had started early. We're actually out at 4 o'clock in the morning that day. That's big.
We'll put it in front of the fire department.
This isn't too bad.
It's a good suggestion.
yeah, but just thinking about like, coming into snow season, obviously, you're probably gonna be out way earlier than that, there's snow.
Well, on those days, if we have a snow event and they come in at 2 in, we won't expect them to be here.
Okay, good. I mean, that works for me too. I would just hate for it.
Well, we started doing our 8-hour shifts this week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
we started that this week.
Okay.
So actually, I got off at, well, it was after 2 o'clock when I left it.
Yeah, after we met.
Yeah, and so I went home, grabbed some lunch and passed out. My wife woke me up, don't you have city council? It actually worked out. Thank you for it.
Glad to hear it.
Tony, thank you very much.
Thank you. I am going to call him.
But you won't pass out.
No, go home, dinner.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Next up, we have the animal shelter.
Hello,
Uh,
everyone.
Oh, there's Caitlin.
All right, for our department report, as a quick overview, we did have impounds decrease for the city, as well as rabies and license needs were also decreased. So that means animals that came in that were owned in the city were up to date on their vaccines, as well as licensed, except for one of those impounds. We did see an increase in the county impounds. Thankfully, we did not have the same number of county surrenders. I think last month was 19 because we had all those litters of kittens come in. So we had one county surrender, but we did increase to 17 county impounds. They also increased on their needs. So we had 4 dogs that needed their rabies vaccine, 5 that needed the license. So that just means one of those dogs did have their rabies, but was not licensed through the county for a dog license. Unfortunately, we did have 2 very sick cats that we had to euthanize as recommended by the vets when we took them to the vet. We had 13 adoptions and we transferred 1 dog back to Eagle County Animal Services. As of tonight, we have had 243 animals come through the door for care. I think our last report stated 210, and then the night of the report was around 215. So we've added not quite a full 30 animals since then. Under our current events and news, I do have the Tabadog assessment attached. So Miguel came up from Colorado Springs. He's been a professional dog trainer as well as worked on the behavior team and in management capacity for animal shelters for over 20 years. So he worked with me. We worked on some SOPs. We made sure everything was up to standard. And then he also had some suggestions. So I did attach his 2-page consultation overview and recommendation if anybody has questions on that. We had some new partnerships happen, which is always great. So we had multiple transfer requests. We had over 15 emails for us to transfer in animals, which obviously did not happen, but we did help out Park County. So we got 2 labs from them that were seized from a cruelty case. And then Mesa County reached out as well. And we took in those 8 poodle puppies that were part of a cruelty and neglect case that they had down there. They had those puppies in their care for about 115 days. We also had handout requests, so I'm continuing to work on our SOPs, iron out a lot of details, and I'm on a few different networking sites. People needed handouts. I gave an example, and we had a big influx of people requesting our handouts, so that was great. So those are going to Maine, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida. There's a few other locations that I don't quite remember. And then mentor requests as well. So I helped mentor other shelter staff from Ohio and Pennsylvania this past month. And thankfully, because we do have a good reputation, that means more people are reaching out to us to surrender their pets. Unfortunately, if they're out of town, we don't accept out of town surrenders unless they're already fixed, have no medical, no behavior issues, and would be kind of highly adoptable. We want to make sure, since we only have a few dog kennels, that we're leaving those open for the public. We do currently have 2 community members on a waiting list wanting to surrender their dogs. Both dogs have behavior concerns. So we're just waiting for one of our 3 adult male dogs to get adopted or some of the puppies to go home, and we'll have a kennel space for it.
Any questions for Caitlin? Okay. Oh, Tracy, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Caitlin, I think some of those kittens you received were from my neighbors. And we have a problem with another neighbor who is feeding feral cats and they're breeding. What do I tell them? Because they're very frustrated.
Yeah, so with the feral cats, with state regulations, we can't really get involved as the shelter, but we can help community members once they trap them. So we do have feral cat traps. It's just a $50 deposit that the person gets back when they bring the trap back. And they can use the trap along with wet food that we provide to trap the feral cats. And then we impound them at the shelter, get them fixed, vaccinated, and they go to a barn home.
Any other questions for Caitlin?
I was gonna say, Caitlin, did you want to, is it premature to announce the, campaign that I reviewed the flyer for?
No, I just didn't attach it.
Yeah, I
in
was
the
wondering,
document.
I didn't wanna spoil anything, so I'm being vague, but if you wanted to talk about it, it might be a good idea to bring it up now.
Sure thing. So as many of you might be aware who have visited the animal shelter, our fences are in desperate need of repair. So I've been working for quite a while, got measurements, got various prices from different groups that can do wholesale or have discounts for shelters and rescues. And for us to do a renovation, so to say, so we need 3 stray yards, a perimeter fence for PACFA, a catio, 5 holding kennels for adoptable dogs, a large play yard, and a small play yard. It would be $10,000, and that's a fraction of the wholesale price. So I created a handout. So we're going to ask businesses for sponsorships. There's a general sponsorship level, I think around $300, and then they could also sponsor like the catio or a stray dog kennel, and they'll get a plaque with their business name saying that they're sponsoring that kennel. And those kennels are supposed to last a minimum of 10, if not 25 years.
And I just want to say, we have departments that are really good at chasing the money, and Caitlin's done a fantastic job of already doing some legwork on this and already has some business partners who will commit to this. And so I just wanted to thank her for chasing the money on this and also getting these fantastic prices on the fencing. So, we're really appreciative, Caitlin, for the work that you put into this to save the city some money and also create a better environment for our shelter animals.
Thank you.
Hey, Caitlin, I would offer that sponsorship opportunity up to the public too.
Okay.
For individuals to be sponsors of those things at a $300 level, I bet you will get some. I know of one.
Perfect.
And we did confirm, and Caitlin was right, donations are tax deductible. So that's an incentive to anybody at the end of the year, if they're looking to look for tax deductible charitable donations, that we're ready. So thank you, Caitlin.
Thanks.
Okay, next up we have Deputy City Clerk.
I was just gonna give a verbal report this week.
Okay,
And so as far as business licenses, we have 2 new snow removal services that people are offering. And then for liquor licenses, the Delaware, Zero Day, and Casablanca have renewed their licenses. And then as far as short-term rentals, Elsa Tharp is helping with gathering the accommodations tax with the remainder of the people who haven't paid the second quarter and third quarter.
how many of those are there?
Well, a lot of people unfortunately I've noticed are reporting 0, which is not true, because we've had many weekends where all our Airbnbs are booked. So I made a list of people that reported 0 as well, and Elsa's going to call them and say, are you sure about that? So it's probably about 20 people.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
And
Yeah.
it's, the other issue too is hard to know, maybe they didn't have any rentals, maybe they are not doing short-term rentals anymore, so that's where we're clarifying, and we appreciate Elsa's help.
They do have licenses.
Correct, they do have licenses, but maybe they've decided not to pursue it for the time, so, we are appreciative that Elsa is helping us follow up on that, and as far as the revenue aspect of it, Hannah handles the actual license, but then the tax comes in, and as soon as we get Crystal up and going, we'll iron out a smooth process so that we're keeping track of that. And I know, Adam at the tourism panel is anxious to know what his numbers look like.
you know, I think we have a pretty good idea based upon historical data, but it's always better to have actual data.
Okay,
On that note, sorry.
please, go ahead.
I, had a question around licenses, in terms of minimum usage. If can someone sit on our license and not use it? I don't know if we have clauses that say like you must.
The 14 day.
I'll let our deputy city clerk, because I think you answered this last time, right? That they do need to have a minimum number of days of rented for the short-term rental license, is that correct?
That's for the class one, they need to occupy their home at least 265 days per year, but I'm not sure if they can sit on a license.
That's enough.
Okay,
It's an ordinance.
14 day.
okay.
Okay, just, enough chance that they are. Like,
Yes.
Right.
Zero, then.
If they're inactive, then they're not renewed.
Okay.
Because a lot of people do have asked, well, what if I just keep it so I don't have to wait in line next year? And that's a no.
Yeah, there is an exception, they can have a 1 year exemption,
A 1 year exemption.
where they don't have to rent. But, other than that, they have to rent for at least 14 days.
Okay, good to know. And do we have proper enforcement? Proper enforcement mechanisms.
We have a stern letter.
Um,
It's, if they're operating it outside of the guidelines, the fine is $2,650 per day. Yeah. And that usually brings people into compliance.
We did, before the, transition of handing everything over to our deputy city clerk, we did do a couple, we did one very nice polite reminder letter to our short-term rental folks who, didn't have a license or we thought they might be operating without a license. And then we did another sort of more stern letter. And you know what really worked is for some of those properties, we just went and posted it. And what we realized is that they weren't getting the notices we had sent them and we got compliance. So we have not had, knock on fake wood, had to go down the road of a couple of people we've contacted. We thought they were doing short-term rentals inappropriately and they provided us evidence that in fact they were not. That their complainants in the area were mistaken, but they provided us evidence that the rentals they were doing were not less than 30 days. So we said, great, thank you very much. We consider this matter closed for now.
Yeah, just wondering, in the future, especially concerned around tax and paying the tax, generally what mechanisms we have outside of stern letters, in the off chance that someone decides not to.
Fortunately, my understanding was last year, when Donna was doing it, she followed up with everybody and got compliance.
Yeah.
So it does sometimes take a little nudging. But as far as my understanding is, we've not had anybody we needed to. And usually when we send a letter that says it's $2,600 per violation, we get a very rapid response. And usually someone comes in with whatever documentation or payment we need that day.
Thank you.
Anything else, Hannah?
No, that's it.
Okay, great, thank you very much. Building department, this is from the county and it's monthly report to us on building permits.
There were 5 new single family homes last month that I signed off on, so several of those are most of those on the east side, with one of the Brooklyn Circle.
A lot going on at the Brooklyn Circle right now.
Yeah, basically, infill, single family residential outside of the historic district on vacant lots.
Well, you're up.
All right, good evening.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, but
I just had one on permits, and I think I raised this last month. I'd be interested to see which of these are within the urban renewal district.
Yeah, I
I don't know if
don't
those
think,
could be highlighted, maybe none of them are.
I don't think
maybe
any of them
some
are, but I can,
no, I don't think
I think it'll be important.
the county land use office even has a map of there's no reason for them to even know what the renewal plan area is. The assessor's office should know, but I doubt if they do. So, we would almost have to do that ourselves, based on addresses.
I think it's a good idea so that we can keep track of improvements for the internet.
I'm sorry, I just realized this is actually a follow-up item. I did email the building department about that, because you had asked about that at a
Yeah.
previous council meeting, and
Yeah.
I did email, I have not heard anything yet. But I did send that request out.
Well, might be worth following up on,
Yeah.
if it's something as the mayor has suggested that we at the city have to do, I still think it'd be worthwhile.
Okay, all right, good deal. All right, so for planning, I'm just gonna talk about the rail yards first, that's kind of a hot topic right now. So I'll just give kind of two updates on rail yards, so in terms of the remaining phase 1A, phase 1B improvements, so. You know, streets, sidewalks, parks and everything, that's what the extension that you reviewed this past summer, and then I'll talk about stormwater. So on the first part, on the remaining phase 1A and phase 1B improvements. So there's a deadline approaching 2 weeks from today of October 31st, and that was the deadline council gave for the developer to complete those 1A and 1B improvements. I have completed inspections on those improvements. I have emailed the developer a list of the things that are not complete yet. And let the developer, remind the developer that they have 2 weeks, and I'll be doing inspections every week going up to that deadline, the 31st. If the developer does not install those things by the 31st, then that SIA cannot be, it says it cannot be, those deadlines cannot be extended. So this is the last time to update the council before that deadline approaches. Those remaining improvements that I've identified with the inspections are sidewalks. One of the parks doesn't have irrigation, and then generally the parks are just not constructed. The landscaping is not constructed in their standard. There's not sufficient topsoil, the grass is not growing in a lot of places. I don't think the irrigation system is reaching everything. The trees do not have drip irrigation. And as I mentioned, one of the parks does not have any irrigation. So that's the quick update on that. So
is
it
doable in 2 weeks? Unlikely?
If it's prioritized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the deadline is not met, it cannot be extended, but then what happens?
Yeah, and this kind of roll us into an enforcement matter that's related to the next thing I'll talk about, so I'll talk about that because this is actually probably higher priority and has some bigger impact, so.
The quick answer to that is we probably send the developer another notice of breach. They have breached the subdivision improvement agreement, and then we
Yeah,
assess what our options are and how quickly, I mean, if there's just a few items and it could take a few days, then we don't need to go down that road. But we would issue them, same thing we did before, we'd issue the notice of breach, here's the things that weren't done. So they're on the public.
so next, I'm sure everyone has heard, but the city issued a stop work order. So this is regarding storm sewer system deficiencies. So these are things that are, something is installed technically, but not installed correctly, and they're missing pieces. So the city issued a stop work order, because the 8 townhomes that are owned by Attainable Mountain Homes are basically a successor and assigned to the SIA, that's John Luke Makers LLC. So a stop work order was issued to both High Country Developers and Attainable Mountain Homes LLC. That was on September 21st, and again, those are for eight townhome units on McClary Park. That stop work order was not applied more broadly, it was applied to those townhomes owned by essentially the developer. The staff has documentation that that stop work order was violated, and we notified the developer that the stop work order is being violated. We have been working with our new city attorney's office and also outside counsel on enforcement. The city attorney did issue a notice of breach on the 9th, giving the developer, that's a notice of breach of the SIA, subdivision improvement agreement, and giving the developer a deadline of November 8th to fully comply. And what that means is after November 8th, if there's not full compliance, then it's not just stop work orders that can be issued. We open up all the enforcement provisions of the SIA. All of those are possible, individually or in combination. So that's the quick summary, any questions on rail yards enforcement? There's a lot going on. I would say approximately this is half of my time each week, if not 3/4 on some days.
What's still necessary for the storm drainage? I know that
Yeah.
they put in the plate.
And all this is in writing, they put in the list and provided with Bill or our attorneys have copies, et cetera, but from the top, it's basically. As of today, I should mention, it is good news that the developer is addressing some of these comments, so some of these things and important things are being addressed, or these corrections are in progress. For example, the northernmost storm sewer detention basin is probably fully excavated to the size that it needs to be for the capacity. There are some water quality controls that are being constructed as we speak. And so some of these things are in progress. The things that remain or the developer disagrees and says that they're not going to install would include addressing drainage coming from the east side along the eastern side of the development. And a storm sewer pipe that basically takes water captures water all from the southern 20% of that development and sends it into the southernmost detention basin. Those are the two main things that are missing. There's some smaller pieces, but those are the main things.
And one important thing to note was on the stop work order, I think some public thought that it applied to the whole property. The point was, it was a stop work order on townhomes. So when people saw work going on out there, what they were seeing is some of that excavation work going on for that detention basin, which was work that was supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
So just so you know that some of the work that was going on out there was actually work that needed to go on. It was the work on townhomes that was supposed to be stopped.
And do we think that is stopped now?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
The
think
work on this, with the stop work order on the townhomes is being observed.
Honored, okay.
and I'm not there, all day, every day.
Sure.
All my last inspection. So, I think that's the high level summary. Any additional questions on that? Okay.
Just wanted to say, I think Chapin is, our planning director is being a little, conservative on his estimates of time and how much time, staff time this is taking up. I think this is probably taken up more like 70–80% of his time recently, and I appreciate the detailed explanations and critical listing of things that need to be done. It is tedious work to go over the SIA and go out there and inspect and, keep detailed records of what still needs to be done, so I appreciate that.
It is tedious, now's the time to get all this done right, so. All right, so just going back to general planning updates, in terms of pre-applications, I have had some pretty interesting pre-application meetings. I have had a pre-application meeting with a property owner of 220 East 11th Street, so that's the property, small property between Family Dollar and the Cooperativa Nueva Union Park, and they would like to do affordable housing. They've received grants from the state for design work, and so they are it's a family LLC. The company's Delcrest. And so I've met with them. They're trying to get some grant funding from the state to build a fairly dense apartment building there for affordable housing. So more to come on that. I've met with the advocates regarding they're looking at the 421 Highway 24 site for supportive housing, things the term. So I've met with them on that, and then also Christian, you and I met with a representative from the Cooperativa Nueva Union on potential development agreement where they would come in front of city council to put a deed restriction on that property that the housing authority could enforce in terms of affordable housing in exchange for basically allowing some already non-conforming setbacks and number of units allowance. I have had a meeting this week on the conversion of the barber shop across the street. The property owner wishes to convert that to a short-term rental. This is something that I am concerned about, and I'm trying to figure out how to categorize this in terms of a classification. I'm gonna spend a minute on this if that's okay, because I think it's impactful. new ordinance that we passed took short-term rentals from accessory use and put them in a lodging use under the a larger residential category, if you recall. And it says that there are administrative permits across the board. It's my interpretation, and I believe it was the intent of that, based on definitions, to consider, first, you would have to ask whether it is a single-family dwelling, and then you would, consider whether it was a short-term rental, if that makes sense. And I believe I have a definition basis for that interpretation. So was my initial interpretation to the property owner that, that single-family residential is prohibited in the retail core, which is what the table of uses states. They are kind of coming back with, well, the table of uses says that it should be allowed with an administrative permit. So I just kind of maybe just letting the council know that with the support of council, I will classify that as a single-family dwelling and a short-term rental based on, and I'll work with legal on this, but based on the definitions. Not that this would be something that was allowed with an administrative permit. I don't think that we should be working towards short-term rentals on our main street.
I would ask you this, I think you know this, but, under administrative, procedures, you always have the ability, if you're uncomfortable.
Yep.
To push it up to a conditional use permit.
That is, yep, that is absolutely a second option, although that would be kind of setting precedent. And so, you know, if, I could certainly do that and have that coming from council as a conditional
Just a
use permit.
suggestion, if you're uncomfortable
Yeah.
with how this is going.
Yeah, I'll work with legal, I'm gonna kind of try to stand firm on the interpretation that short-term rentals or as single-family dwellings are not allowed on facing Harrison Avenue in the retail core. For some reason, that interpretation fails and it would come in front of you as a CUP.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, and wrapping up here, just a couple updates. The Gateway development, updated council that was going to go to the county for a joint public hearing. That did go, and I think for the most part, that application went well. That's the project that would be 400 units with 75% affordable, deed restricted units in the county. And so they went for their initial public hearing. There'll be 2 more public hearings that are required, and they received a lot of comments from the Planning and Zoning Commission and the VOCC. Attended the state planning conference. All of this, it seems like that was, I've attended that conference since 2015. It's the most sessions I've ever seen on affordable housing in a conference. I mean, it's just everybody's trying to figure this out. Everybody's trying to do something. Everybody's trying to get money. The last thing I'll say is that next Tuesday, at the same time across the street, we'll have the historic district survey project kicked off. We'll have our consultant here. We'll be conducting a public meeting to kick off that survey project and inform the public. We've done some mailings and sent out questionnaires. We'll have interpretation there at that event. That'll be next Tuesday, kickoff meeting for the historic district surveys. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for planning director? Okay, thank you, Chapin. Next up, we have sales tax comparison. I'm gonna let Lori talk about that. And I need to grab some water, so I apologize.
Okay.
Rob called me through.
So, with the magic of technology, we now have our sales tax comparisons. And so if you'll see, September was, yet another good, month for us as far as sales tax revenue. Close that screen so I can see this. Okay, so, our revenue is $436,058. You can see that that is well over our, budget of $348,041. So, we are, if you see where we are actual versus budget, we're, about $500,000 over. So the mayor and I were predicting that we would hit $500,000 over by the end of the year. That's what we were talking about when we started our budget discussions. So we've hit that. I've met with our new finance director and the mayor, and we do believe that it's probably going to be closer to maybe 600,000 over by the end of the year, because the numbers just keep coming in really strong. So great, always nice to deliver good news. And so you can see 20.3%, I'm sorry, 21.1% actual versus budget cumulative. So yeah, great news. I don't, I'll steal the mayor's line, we always don't know how long this will continue. But I do think there are some indicators that, show us that our numbers are still gonna be, strong, we'll still see lots of good unsolicited PR, maybe solicited PR about Leadville and reasons you should visit Leadville, so. I don't know if you all read these, but occasionally somebody, I think I brought up the governor posting about Leadville, there was, an article about, just some photos of things to do in Leadville, and it was on social media, and just comment after comment after comment was, we love Leadville, I grew up there, Leadville's great. The beauty of it is that it is unlike other places that we do not get it's changed, it's different, it's not the way it used to be, I won't go back, I used to live there, I hate it, comment after comment is Leadville's great, it's a beautiful place, I grew up there, it's still wonderful, so anyway, happy to answer any questions. Our crystal ball, we never know, but so far so good fantastic numbers for 2023. Absolutely, because this will be yours, this is gonna be.
So I looked at this, I think it was early last week, within the first few days that I was here. And at that time, we did not have the September numbers. So looking at like what September numbers are, I mean, I think anywhere between, it might even be closer to 800, just based on historical. And this was, sales tax was kind of my baby at the county, so just seeing the trends and stuff, I think we could come in.
I guess on that note, I know that we had discussed, during our budgetary items, I just kind of want to raise this again, to brought up the, great idea of, using for some of these one-time asks, some of this funding, assuming this goes toward general balance, as a potential supplement for overall budget. So if things are gonna be a one-time ask, and given that we're having good news, we would like to, really stay on top of that and not let that great idea go away, so to say.
We'll be talking about that in the budget discussion, but you're right.
Yeah.
So that is our consideration.
Procedurally, how it would have to work is that the money doesn't, we would have to use that line item to transfer from general fund, so we would have to pick a dollar amount to transfer from the general fund, but it's true, this money goes into essentially our revenues. If we don't put it into the budget for 2024, it's just like the piggy bank, it's just, and the mayor will get to it, is our big outside asks for 2024 are enormous, and they are putting huge pressure on the 2024 budget, so it is something that we probably will need to be considering.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I would just say, as a business owner, post race, post events, we're very strong this year, so I wouldn't expect sales tax to go down.
And that's what I'm hearing, out about this past weekend, what I heard is it's crazy. Some of the local businesses were gonna plan some events, and they were like, we just haven't had time, it's just been good, so, good news.
They're coming out of the financials, we have not been able to produce financials, Crystal and I talked about it today. We still have a lot of, we're paying the bills, but until they get posted, the financials are kind of meaningless. So we have a lot of September financials that have been paid, that's not the issue, but they have to be entered into Cassell. And that's the lag we're gonna be seeing for a little while as Crystal gets caught up. So I'm hoping by this time next month, we can print financials and really have something to look at, but that's gonna be, right in the middle of kind of final decisions for budget. So it's gonna be important to be able to have a look at those and review them. Any thoughts, Crystal?
I think that is reasonable. There have been some September invoices trickle in, so I have been working on getting those entered at this time. I do not have the capability yet to print checks, so tomorrow that is part of my focus, but I have a pretty good batch that needs to be printed. And then some other September items that I need to go over with Donna as far as how we enter and track P card. So I hope to have September wrapped up, hopefully by the end of next week. With the September ones that are trickling in, and then entering the October ones. So hopefully next month we will have September and potentially October as well, and get back on a regular cycle.
That would be fantastic.
So that's my goal.
All right, great. At this time, we have the bills. Time to pay the bills. Anybody have any questions or concerns about the bills? Oh my goodness.
Bills, there'll be like one or two that's like filled out and that's withdrawn with all like these negatives, and
Seems
this
like a
time
lot.
there's like a whole bunch of like so many more than usual. And I'm just kind of wondering,
Oh, what was your question on which entity?
really, any of them,
There's
there's,
a lot of reversals.
yeah, there's usually
Oh,
one or two, but there's.
So I'll tell you what I'll tell you what happened on that. So we have a positive pay program with community banks, which means that when we write a check to an entity, we have to go in and tell the positive pay program in community banks that we wrote that check. Otherwise, the check will bounce. And so we had a little bit of a hiccup on a few more checks than usual about getting them entered into positive pay. So we didn't, I think one person was out and we didn't have the checks entered in positive pay. So what happened was they needed to be reversed and reissued.
Okay.
So we now have backup trained on positive pay, so that we will ensure all the checks are entered and that they don't get rejected by the bank.
Cause that was my next question, like, did we bounce a check from Casablanca?
Well, no.
Actually, that was my fault. I'm dead serious. I hand wrote that check.
Okay.
And I never actually saw the check that was returned to Casablanca from the bank, but we did cut them a new check.
So to answer your question is, they were not returned for insufficient funds. They were returned because we have a double check on writing the check. So when the mayor hand wrote the check, someone needed to go in and enter the check into the positive pay program so that the bank would know it was a legit check. And we did not have a backup person trained on that. And now Erin is trained on positive pay. She knows how to do it. She can enter the checks if there isn't anyone else around.
I see the rationale for having that system, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure I do. The reason I say that is everything is dual signatures in the city.
Yeah.
I don't know that positive pay accomplishes anything, so that's something we should think about. It's
Yeah,
something
I
that
mean-
Donna really wanted to do, and she just wanted, some assurance that nothing was gonna get biased. She's very sensitive to that.
Two things, I'd wanna check with our auditors to see if it gives us any discount on any of our insurance, because frankly, if the checkbook disappeared. And somebody faked some signatures, I mean, worst case scenario, that's why you have that system. So, but anyway, that's the answer to your question, is I love the help.
Donnie was very gracious when he brought her check back to us. For what it's worth. Any other questions or concerns? I would entertain a motion to pay the bills.
No, let's pay the bills. Menendez seconds.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. All in favor. Now we can pay the bills that have already been paid.
Yeah, we sort of missed it.
At this time, we have the budget as it sits right now. We have some challenges, as we have discussed. I would say this, in terms of looking at the current deficit, some of that can be worked on in terms of some of the budgets, but it's not gonna be that dramatic. So, we have seen some very, very positive trends in, revenue, that maybe we didn't, quite appreciate a month or 6 weeks ago when we developed our revenue numbers. So we're going to be considering, revenue numbers, all over again. We'll bring them to city council. But we can close, I think we can close some, if not all of that gap, before we finish. I will say the fire department budget, this is actually pretty interesting. We had a fire management board meeting last Friday. Tim Bergman was there. And we had a discussion around the Southern Fire Station and having a command presence there. And so what we agreed as a fire management board is we need someone there who can take responsibility when the Southern Fire Station gets called out. And it's a bit of a tricky business in terms of manpower and how that station will be manned, mostly with resident reserves who will live there. But we need someone there who can direct them because they're raw recruits. And so we did agree we put that in there. We also agreed that looking at the spreadsheet for the schedule for equipment replacement over time, we were putting $100,000 a year in this budget, and then we transferred that to the fire fund balance for capital purchases. And the decision was made that we were going to up that to $200,000 this year, because $100,000 was not good enough. $200,000 might get us in the ballpark in terms of a replacement schedule for fire department equipment, because that stuff is so expensive. And that's where we are right now with the fire department budget. Other than that, it looks pretty good. So we did add one personnel, and we added the additional $100,000 for the fire department budget. All the other budgets, I've met with the departments, we've gone through their budgets. Some of them, I think that I want to go over with Lori, and see if what the department managers are asking for is something we can actually do. And those are not huge, it's not earth shattering, but I'm a bit of a budget hawk, and so I tend to look at these things and say, do we really need this, or is this just what the manager wants?
And having our new finance director on board, I talked to her today, I believe it was today, but getting with each of the departments before the end of 2023 to see if some of their asks in 2024, we actually still have money in their line item for that for 2023. So you heard our streets department manager talking about some things he's ordering in 2023. And that's capitalizing on some of those line items that we still have money in 2023, rather than, so what happens is it doesn't roll over. So you don't spend it in 2023. It looks like if you want to ask for it in 24, it looks like your budget went up. But in essence, you didn't spend it before. So what we're trying to do is get with each of the departments and say, so, you know, for our streets department, he's gonna order some chains, tire chains, which was one of his asks. And remember, in his goals for 2024, we're gonna look at buying a couple sets now. So what we're trying to do is make sure, really, if you've maximized your budget in 2023, do you really need it in 2024, so that we're getting an accurate picture of what you need for 2024. So having our new finance director on board, we can run some of those reports, and she's already worked with some departments on exactly that, so.
So overall, the budget is a work in progress, but it's pretty close. We need to make some final decisions, certainly about revenue, also about expense. If we need to pare down some expense, we have some areas where, you know, I think that's a possibility. I hate to ever say no to a department manager. Actually, that's an outright lie. I love saying no to department managers.
That's fine.
Yes, it's true, it's true.
Well,
Sorry.
let's look at it. So we asked some questions and we challenge on some things, but,
Yeah, you and I will go over all these budgets within the next week or so and really dive into the weeds, so. So far, it's looking okay. It's a good thing. I love crunching numbers. Any questions about the budget?
So this is,
Just ignore the teeny tiny print.
Couple things, part of the reason you keep seeing this, even though you've seen it in work sessions, is we have been working with the departments, the mayor's been working with the departments. This is a statutory requirement. So we needed to publish our budget by October 15th, which we did. The packet went out on Friday. And so it's been published. This is in essence compliance. The confusing thing is sometimes people find this budget later in a packet, and it is confusing because I want to make it clear, this is a draft. This is not going to be the budget you adopt. So it's still a work in progress, but we are bringing it to you now as a statutory requirement.
I imagine we'll talk more about that during our work session.
Absolutely. There's a lot of fine tuning when it gets to department by department. And, some things you heard in the goals, some of the department's goals, and it may be that it is not a goal that we can accomplish in 2024. It's something we need to look at in a future year.
Yeah, the process I think is going well so far. We have, we have some departments we've talked to, you've gotten to talk to, and then going forward, we have 3 more work sessions where we hear from departments individually and really go over the budget with them.
Yeah, and the mayor and I met. And I have a running list always of priorities and things that we've talked about throughout the year to make sure they're included. This is, everything we've talked about that we've talked. So this is, I don't want to say it's the, full wish list, but if we have to pare it back, we have to pare it back.
All righty. In that case, we have our action items. Anybody need to take a break before we dive into action items? And it says, go. First, we have ordinance number 5, series of 2023, ordinance amending section 2.40.160 of the Leadville Municipal Code concerning the compensation of incoming city council members. This is second reading, so we will go through a public hearing process. Because this is second and final reading of the ordinance, city council will follow these steps. First, I'll ask city staff to give any presentation or provide any information prepared to city council about the ordinance. City council will have a chance to ask questions of staff and have discussions with staff during the staff presentation. Next, I would invite the public to provide any comments on the ordinance that they would like the city council to consider. Any member of the public who wishes to speak on the ordinance may speak one at a time, and each person will have no more than 3 minutes to comment. Finally, council will discuss and vote on the ordinance. It doesn't say here that we will by motion, close the public hearing portion, public comment portion of the public hearing. At this time, I would ask for the staff presentation.
It's gonna be quick. You saw this on first reading, did not have any comments or suggested changes, so you are seeing it again in the same format. There you go, that's my fastest staff presentation ever.
Any questions? I think we've all discussed this infinitely and
And the mayor captured these new numbers in the budget for the open seats.
that is true. At this time, I would ask if there's any of the public who want to comment on the second reading of ordinance number 5, 2023. Anybody in council chambers who would like to comment?
So we have a weird echo happening.
I fixed it.
Okay.
It was me. It was me.
Also, anybody on Zoom who would like to comment on this ordinance? Please, just unmute and speak to us. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public comment portion of the public hearing.
Bill moves to close the public comment portion of the public hearing. Bill Miller, seconds.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? There's something in chat.
Oh, it was just that somebody that said no, thank you for public
Ah,
comment.
thank goodness. Okay, at this time, we're in deliberation. Any discussion, comments, thoughts?
Well, time.
It probably is overdue.
A little bit.
Okay, we'll call the motion. I would entertain a motion, please.
Moving that moves to approve ordinance number 5, series of 2023, an ordinance amending section 2.40.160 of the Leadville Municipal Code concerning the compensation of incoming city council members.
Rhea seconds.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
And Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Councilmember Lorenzen.
Yes.
Councilmember Hill.
Yes.
Councilmember Luna.
Yes.
Councilmember France.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, ordinance number 5, series of 2023 passes. Next up, we have resolution number 24, series of 2023, a resolution appointing the municipal prosecutor for the city of Leadville and approving a legal services agreement. Lloyd?
Great, well, thank you. So as you all recall, we went through a request for proposal process for our city attorney. And in that process, we were very impressed by Nick Klein and Thad Renault and their presentation and especially Nick's work as a municipal prosecutor for other towns. And we were in a position where, as you know, our current prosecutor, Ron Carlson, had really helped us out in a pinch. Over a year ago, we were notified by our then prosecutors that they just weren't able to carry our workload. The named partner who was covering our work had extended their family, and they'd also lost some associates. And so what happened was we needed a prosecutor, and Ron came out of retirement to assist us, and we appreciate his service. And so in this process, we have selected, or at least proposed selecting the Nick Klein as the municipal prosecutor. And what will happen, so that there's a nice transition and a soft handoff, is Ron will continue essentially training until the end of the year, so that the official handoff will be, so we'll have Ron on board until the end of the year, and Nick will be appointed this evening, and so that he can work in tandem. We have court tomorrow. Of course, that's too soon to have Nick appear. So Ron and Mr. Carlson will be appearing tomorrow in court, but the next two appearances, we will work to have the handoff to Nick. So Mr. Coleman. So that is it in a nutshell. We appreciate Mr. Carlson's help and assistance in this transition period. He has helped us out in innumerable ways in addition to the prosecution work. The mayor has commended his work and some of the work for the Irish Memorial, correct?
Yes, he did a great job.
So he has been a longtime partner to the city, and we're very grateful, and he is grateful to us. And so that is the current situation. So we have Mr. Klein and Mr. Renault also joining us tonight just to say hello, and if you have any questions for them.
Mr. Klein, do you have anything to say?
Just that I'm excited to serve the city, and I hope to see the resolution passed.
Thank you. And Mr. Renault?
I just want to thank you for your consideration, and it would be our privilege to serve. Happy to answer any more detailed questions.
I love your brevity.
It's an evening meeting, I understand. I attend a lot of them myself.
Yeah, we agree. Lori, in your experience and having read this legal services agreement, is this is this to your satisfaction?
Yes, this is a standard agreement. Mr. Rowe and I worked on, a few small changes, but overall, we have a template, professional services agreement, and this is, virtually identical to that. The provisions are very similar, so. Yeah.
Right, well, thank you. Any questions for either the city administrator or Mr. Riddell, Mr. Klein? Okay, in which case I would entertain a motion, please.
Well, let's approve resolution number 24, 2023, a resolution appointing the municipal prosecutor for the city of Leadville and approving a legal services agreement.
Thomas seconds.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Lottie,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitson,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
Councilmember Grant,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas, yes, Mayor Pro Tem Green,
Yes.
Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Mayor.
At this time, if we have anybody in the public who would like to make comments on anything they wish to comment on, please raise your hand if you're on Zoom or if you're in the in council chambers, and you will have 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, thank you. Mayor's report, I believe we were remiss, we have a new city attorney on Zoom.
I'm totally remiss, you are
Would
correct.
you introduce her, please?
Absolutely, I'm
I
so sorry.
apologize.
We did we passed a resolution, and I do want to say thank you, our new city attorney. She was also present for our work session, and I asked her to attend that work session, at least the beginning of it, regarding the Leadville 7. At least the Leadville 7 part of our work session, because I that will be something that ends up on their plate. So Ellie, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but welcome, and I think if you would like to introduce yourself or say anything to the council.
Hi, yeah, thank you. Yeah, my name's Ellie Laboon. I'm with Hoffman Parker Wilson Carberry in Denver. Happy to be here virtually. And yeah, I will be here at all of your council meetings and happy to attend in person coming up if that ever needs to be the case, as well as any work sessions where you need me there. I was there just for the Leadville 7 presentation and discussion, and then I hopped off last week. And I know you have lots of work sessions coming up for the remainder of the year. Happy to attend those as needed. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have and here to support you wherever needed. So happy to be here. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. Legally, didn't seem like we challenged you much this evening.
Well, we're gonna say, before Ellie answers that question, I think, Hillary and Ellie have been helping us tremendously with a number of situations, including the rail yards, because it is unprecedented for us to be in a situation where we had a stop work order. In my experience, I haven't had that, but also just in getting compliance with the stop work order. So they've been immensely helpful with that. We will challenge our new city attorneys. Don't you worry.
Give it a.
Rest up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm here for. Put us to work.
All right. Thank you very much, Ellie.
Thank you.
Mayor's report, we talked about Station 2, but what I wanted to say, it continues. We bought that speaker system earlier in the year. That thing gets used a lot. It is a marvelous system. And I couldn't be more pleased that we have it, available to us when we need it. Also, I'd say, we have reserved freight for December the 15th for a Christmas party. I haven't signed the paperwork yet.
Holiday party.
Tim's so excited.
What's that?
It's hard.
What's,
This
yeah,
might be your last one.
you're gonna have to wait 2 months. You're gonna have to train. You gotta train. And, that's it for me. Any council reports?
Yeah, I always have council reports for you all.
I love
As mentioned before by Chapin, there is a lot that is going on, in terms of the Regional Housing Authority, a lot of different moving parts towards it, that we need to discuss. One thing that I wanted to discuss is our most recent meeting, that both Councilmember Hill and I were at. I think it went over pretty well. I think they give us a direction that we would have never been able to give ourselves. And they give us a lot of guidance as to what the process is supposed to look like, and especially I, as president, feel very grateful that I have a lot better of an understanding of what processes we should be following as a regional housing authority. So I would like to say that that was a success. I know we, bogged down on some of the things that we had already discussed in the past, but I think it's fair to say we definitely did it justice this time around, and hopefully we won't have to talk about mission and vision statements from here on out.
Let's get old, don't they?
Yeah, a little bit, and we can start focusing a little bit more on some of the content and planning and building out what the regional housing authority will be and who it will serve. So happy to report on that, huge success. We'll see what that comes to. That said, this upcoming meeting, this month is canceled, so there will be no housing authority meeting because of the day-long project that we had, as well as
Gotcha.
the fair housing fair.
And you both hung in for a day-long meeting?
7 hours.
Oh, man, you guys are tougher than I am. Yeah.
Last half hour, I was fading pretty.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the city council who'd like to give us a report before we head out? Tracy says no, nope, wait.
Tracy, introduce us to your dog.
This giant monster laying next to me is our new rescue lab, which is why I'm home, because he's eating my house and home when I'm not here.
Jeez. Thank you for that report. Okay, we are up to the planner. I haven't looked at attention to it, but anybody have anything they would like to add or subtract or share?
Next, the 24th, I am a maybe for that meeting.
Okay.
I've been on a field trip all day, and I don't know if I'll be back in time to start at 6. So I may be here and I may be late. I may not be here.
I may be late as well, thank you.
Okay.
For reminding me, I had already talked about, my partner Judy has a procedure in Colorado Springs, and I'm hoping to be back here by 6, but if I'm not, you guys know what to do.
I'll be remote, but I'll be there.
I will not be there, but I will have comments for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you indicated you send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send to you any concerns I have with any departments we're talking about that night, but I will not be at the meeting.
Okay.
And the chance that, will Tracy, will you be there? Okay, never mind.
Be here on the 24th.
It is a work session, so I think we're fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else?
We don't have Laura in November, is that correct? Did we just had it?
Yeah, just at the next lawyer meeting.
I was going to mention if we wanted to stick with November 21st for that regular meeting. Or if we wanted to do that a different day, or if everybody's gonna be around for that week for Thanksgiving.
I'm undecided.
I know I am, so.
You are undecided?
Huh?
You are undecided or?
No, I'll be here.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
I'm the one that's
I
undecided.
have no friends or family. It's fine. Thanks for asking them. Okay. My focus is pretty much gone, and it's almost 8 o'clock.
We're gonna get out before 8.
But it's not 8 o'clock yet. I'm like,
Oh,
that's funny. Well, then at 7:56, it says council is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Just so you know, the mayor predicted